Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, September the 1st. Today in pre-calculus, we talked about radical functions and how to solve radical equations. So I will share the screen with you and we'll look at the whiteboard and I'll show you an example of what we did today. All right, the thing, when you're looking at radical functions, you're looking at something like y equals a number like 2 times the fourth root of x cubed. Now, when you're working something like this is a radical notation, but to me, it's more beneficial if you understand how you change this from the radical to a rational function. So you have your 2, which is outside, and then you have x here, and the power is on the inside and the root is on the outside. You would have x to the 3/4 power. So you understand something like this. The 4 is the root. Now, this, when you have something, a classical example here would be something like if you're taking the 6th root or the 5th root. Let's do the 5th root. Okay, we're going to do the 5th root of 32 to the 6th power. Okay, now the thing you need to understand is you can do these in any order. So say I can take the 5th root of 32, because if I raise 32 to the 6th power, I get a really, really big number which you can't handle in your head. But if I do 32 here and I raise it to the 5th power, or the 1/5 power, which is the same thing as taking the 5th root, and then I raise that answer to the 6th power. See, the 5th root of 32 is 2. So I have 2, and I raise 2 to the 6th power, and I get an answer of 64. So I can do something like that in my head, whereas there's no way in the world that I can take the 6th power of 32 and then take the 5th root, okay? So that's the biggest thing you need to understand about radical functions like that, is to be able to change them from a radical form to a rational form, and then to be able to manipulate them like this. So now I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to show you how we work a radical equation. So we get, I'll erase all of this. So let's just all right, and I'm going to change my color back to black also. Okay, now, so what we're going to do here, we will do the square root of, and we can put the rest of this in text. So we put the square root of x plus 7, not 77, all right? And then we put out here, we can put equals, and then we're going to get 3 plus, I'm going to put a square root on top of this, so 2 minus x. And we're going to put a square root on top of the 2 minus x. So we got it like this right here. Now, when you got something like this, you got 2 square roots. So to solve this equation, what you have to do is you have to square both sides. Now, since you got 2 square roots, you're going to have to square this equation twice. So I'm going to take and I'm going to raise both sides to the second power. We'll do like this. I'm going to square them. Now, remember, if I have just a square root and I square it, I get what's underneath. So on the left side here, I just have, x plus 7. Got my equal sign. Now, remember here, when I square a binomial, you square the first, so you square 3, you get 9. And I got plus, and then twice the product, so the product here is 3 times the square root. So I'm going to get 6, and I'm going to give myself a little space, and I'll put the square root in here in just a second. And then I go over and I put the square of the last, which in this case is 2 minus x. So I come back and I put in, so I have one square root term left here, which is this 6 times 2 minus x here. Now, so I get everything on the left side except the square root. So if you see I've got an x here and a minus x, so that's going to give me on the left side, that's going to give me 2x. So that takes care of the x. Now 9 plus 2 is 11. And I bring it across to the right or to the left, and 7 minus 11 is minus 4. And that equals 6 times my square root of 2 minus x. So I put my square root sign back on there. And square root of 2 minus x. Now, notice the 2 and the 4 and the 6 all are multiples of 2. So I can factor out or can divide by 2. So I get x minus 2 equals 3 times my radical once again, which is 2 minus x. And I get so I draw my radical in here. Now, and once again, remember, like I said, if you have 2 radicals to start with, so now I have to square both sides again. So I'm going to come back down here and I'm going to get my parentheses here. I'm going to square this side. And I'm going to come over here and put my parentheses, and I'm going to square this side. Now, when you're squaring the left, once again, it's a binomial. So you get, I come down here to my text, I will get x squared, and I'll put the square in just a second. Twice the product is minus 2x, so twice that is minus 4x. And then the square of the last, which is plus 4. And then equals, now on the right side here, remember, I've got to square the 3, so I get 9, and I get parentheses 2 minus x, because the square of a square root is what I've got there. So I'm going to put the square here on the x, so I got x squared, okay? Now, so if I bring everything across, I've got minus 9x, so I get x squared. So I got x squared. I'll put the square on just a second. Now I've got a minus 9x. It comes across, so I've got plus 5x. And then I've got plus 18 comes across as minus 18. So minus 18 plus 4 is minus 14. And I put my square here. So I got this and all of that. Equals 0, okay? Now, I factor this, so I can factor it. I will get x. So we'll put our text down here. So I'm going to get x plus 7 times x minus 2. I come over here, and that equals 0. So that gives me x equals 2 and minus 7. So I come back up here, put my parentheses around the x plus 7, put my parentheses around the x minus 2. Now what you have to do here is you have to go back to the original equation up there and check these answers, because you've squared this thing twice, and the chance of you getting a bad answer is very good. So if I put 2 back in here, notice, see, 2 goes in for x. So 2 plus 7 is 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. So if I put x equals 2, I get the left side is 3, and I get the right side is, so I got 2 minus 2 is 0, so the square root of 0 is 0, so I get 3 equals 3. So the 2 answer is a good answer, okay? Now if I put in x equals minus 7, so then I get minus 7 plus 7 is 0 on the left side, and I get equals, and I got 3, and I got plus, okay, the square root of, say, minus 7, 2 minus and minus 7 is 9, so that's 3 plus 3, so that's obviously not equal, so the 7 is not a good answer, so I cross it off. Now, so that's the key thing that we did today in class. So you look at your homework assignment, you look at your problems. If you have questions, send me an email and I will get back to you with the answers. So have a good day.